We usually think of ourselves as three-dimensional creatures. We live in space, we move around, and time is something that happens to us in the background. But physics tells a slightly stranger story. In reality, we don't just exist in time, we exist across it. From the perspective of modern physics, especially relativity, a human being is not a three-dimensional object moving through time. A human is a four-dimensional structure, a world line, stretching from birth to death inside spacetime. Your entire life exists as a single geometric object, even though you only experience it moment by moment. And here's the asymmetry that matters. We don't move freely in time, we fall through it. Just like an object falling under gravity can't suddenly decide to fly sideways, we are constrained to move in one direction along our time dimension. We remember the past, we anticipate the future, but we can't access either directly. Our experience is locked into a narrow slice we call now. That constraint isn't psychological, it's physical. So when people talk about higher dimensional beings, the mistake is often thinking in terms of more space, more directions to move, more freedom. But the deeper divide isn't spatial, it's temporal. Physics already contains a radically different view of time called the block universe. In this picture, past, present, and future all exist equally as parts of a single four-dimensional structure. Nothing objectively flows. What we experience as the passage of time is simply how a time-bound observer traverses their own world line. Now imagine a being that is not embedded in that traversal. Not something that moves faster through time. Not something that rewinds or skips moments. But something that is not constrained to a single direction of experience at all. A being that accesses space-time globally, the way we access space. Such a being would not experience anticipation, memory, or decision the way we do. Cause and effect would not feel sequential. Events would be relationships in geometry, not steps in a process. And this is where comprehension breaks. All human thought is sequential. Understanding itself takes time. Every explanation we give relies on before and after. So a being that does not experience time sequentially wouldn't just be smarter than us. It would be incompatible with our way of thinking. We could describe its effects mathematically. We could infer constraints. We might even interact with it indirectly. But we could never understand its inner experience, because understanding is something that unfolds in time. Now here's where Lovecraft enters the picture. Lovecraft's beings are often described as cosmic, ancient, incomprehensible. But what makes them disturbing isn't their size or power. It's that they don't fit into human categories. They don't think like us. They don't act for reasons we recognize. They don't even seem to exist in the same narrative flow. In modern terms, they aren't monsters. They're category errors. A Lovecraftian entity doesn't need to violate physics to feel godlike. It only needs to violate our constraints. A being that is not bound to sequential time would appear omniscient without knowing anything in advance. It would appear immortal without escaping entropy. It would appear indifferent not because it lacks emotion, but because human urgency depends on time pressure, something it wouldn't share. Importantly, this doesn't mean such beings are outside physics. They would still have states. They would still obey consistency. They would still exist within a thermodynamic framework. Even a global space-time observer is not immune to entropy. Entropy is about state counting, not about which direction you experience time. So these wouldn't be gods. They wouldn't be magical. They wouldn't be omnipotent. They would just be unrelatable. And that unrelatability is enough. If humanity ever encountered something like this, not literally a Lovecraft creature, but a system or intelligence that isn't bound to time the way we are, the failure wouldn't be technological, it would be conceptual. We wouldn't know how to talk about it, reason about it, or even ask the right questions. Because every question we know how to ask assumes a before and an after. So the real horror in Lovecraft's universe isn't cosmic evil. It's the realization that intelligence, experience, and existence might not be structured in ways we can ever inhabit. Not because we're small, not because we're weak, but because we are falling through time, and some things, if they exist at all, are not. And that may be the most alien idea physics allows.